Today, we're going to review 4 books that are going to help you better understand what direction to go with your health. Now, there are a lot of great books out there as far as health is concerned. This is just going to help you narrow it down. Like there are tons and tons of books, and the problem with healthcare is it can be so confusing. There are so many different things that tell us, do this, and you look at something else and it says do the exact opposite of that. You look at research and it's the exact same way. And it doesn't matter if we're talking about diet, it doesn't matter if we're talking about sleep, it doesn't matter if we're talking about, whatever topic in healthcare. It is so convoluted. There are so many things that conflict each other. So with that, these 4 books are going to give you a great understanding of what you need to do to maximize your health. I'm Dr. Jeff Cumro. I'm a developmental functional neurologist. And what I do is I help people improve the connectivity and balance of their brains. And when they have better connectivity and balance, they end up, being able to achieve the things that they want. They're more able to, call upon the resources that they need when they need them to better suit themselves for the environment and set themselves up for success. Now, why do we need to better understand health? We spend $4.1 trillion on healthcare in the United States. That breaks down to about $12,500 per person. And if we look at the average family of 3.13, it's almost $40,000 a year that we spend on healthcare. It's a massive, massive amount. It's something that is not sustainable. If we look at the Canadians, they spend about half of that per year on healthcare. In the US, we have been blessed with an amazing healthcare system. Like, we have the best doctors, we have the most amazing treatments available, we have all of these other things. And, it's arguable. We subsidize healthcare for all other countries. And, we really do. We spend more here in the development, which allows those other countries to get them for cheaper. But still, that is not sustainable. When we're spending that much on healthcare, we have to figure out a way to come up with a change. And if we do small systemic changes, it's very easy to make a small systemic change and see unforeseen consequences come up after that. The second and third order consequences that can really have the opposite effect that we really want it to. So making the systemic changes isn't really always the best way. The best way that or the easiest way rather, not necessarily the best, but the easiest way to actually make this change is to actually educate people on what healthcare is. Like, what can you do to change your health? And when people are faced with something that they don't necessarily understand what to do, they don't have the time to educate themselves, they're going to do what's easy. They're going to do what everybody else is doing, right? So what we have to do is dive into the information and figure out exactly what is going to give them the best bang for their buck. That's what this list is. So the first book we're going to talk about is Disconnected Kids by Dr. Robert Melillo. And just to clear up any confusion here, Dr. Melillo is one of my mentors. He has been for a couple of years. I've studied his work for a long period of time, and I think that this needs to be at the forefront of health. I don't have a vested interest in promoting his book or anything like that. I think this needs to be at the forefront of health, because when we look at the connectivity of the brain, when we look at the development of the brain, we see a lot more abilities as far as our immune system and our stress resilience and all of these other things. And as we start to stack those things together, we start seeing better outcomes. Now, his book is more guided toward children, ADHD, autism, dyslexia, things like that. And we're seeing an explosion in the numbers of those cases. Autism right now is 1 in 44 kids. An MIT researcher says that by 2050, we're going to be 1 in 2 kids are going to have autism. That's a massive, massive number. But I don't want you to take this and say, I don't have autism, I don't have ADHD, I don't have kids, I don't have to worry about this. Because it's just like exercise. It doesn't matter when you start. It's actually making that change. If we can implement that change, you're going to see benefit out of this. And like I said, for those who are more interested in, losing weight or, attaining more success or having a better stress resilience or better mental health, this is a great book to give you a better understanding of how to develop that healthy brain and get yourself moving in the right direction. The second book that I'm going to recommend on this is called Spark by John Rady and Eric Hagerman. And there's a big push in a lot of the educational system to rid PE and recess, because they say we don't have time for those things. We need to focus more on the STEM subjects. And while I agree that there are also problems in our educational system, taking movement out of it for kids is not the right answer. It's not only, it's dangerous. I'm going to go ahead and say it. It's just dangerous. movement is one of the foundational things that we have, especially if you're trying to learn something. If you're trying to learn something, movement is one of the best things that you can do. But what movement does is it helps to improve the connectivity of the brain. It helps develop those new circuits. It helps with coordination and speed. It helps with metabolism. What does that look like? If you have issues with those, ADHD, autism, dyslexia, depression, anxiety, things that are going through the roof. Autoimmunity would be another one that is going through the roof right now. As we start to improve that connectivity, we start ending up with better health. Movement is one of the foundational things, and our children need it more than adults do. Now, don't take that as me saying that adults don't need it, because adults are definitely underactive. And the more active we can get, the better health we're going to experience. But when we can get that movement in at an early time, not only does it improve our learning, it connects the brain better, and with that, they have better long-term outcomes. The third book we're going to review is Nature Wants Us to Be Fat by Dr. Richard Johnson. Now, Johnson talks about how simple carbs are really to blame for all of our, obesity and, heart disease and different things like that. It's a way more connected, and he makes a compelling case for, connecting it to ADHD and autoimmunity and all these different things. So it's a very interesting book. But what do all diet books have in common? When we look at the common diets out there, whether we're looking at Beachbody or Atkins or low carb or paleo or whatever we're looking at, most of those are lower carb diets. What he's saying is, not only do we consume too many of the simple carbs that drive up our blood sugar and in turn lead to poorer health, but he's also saying we have some simple markers that we're not using as accurately as we should. And this brings out all the latest research. So if you're looking for a dietary book, this gives you a very good understanding, a very good place to start to develop those skills to take to the next level. Mediterranean diet is one of my favorite diets. Again, it's looking at that lower carb diet. So no matter what type of diet you're looking at, getting rid of the simple carbs, getting rid of some of those things that spike your blood sugar are going to be one of the easiest way to do it. Fourth book we're going to review is Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza. And Dispenza talks a lot about meditation and visualization in this. And he says, if you spend time meditating and visualizing what you want the outcome to be, visualizing yourself being healthy, that you can end up getting rid of some of this stuff. And there is some science behind that. Are you going to be able to get rid of everything with meditation and visualization? I think that's an oversimplification. I think that's kind of a reach. But when we look at stress in the United States, the Mental Health Association of America says that we spend $500 billion a year. Now the CDC breaks it down a little bit more. It says we spend $216 billion a year on actual health-related costs and $147 billion a year on the lost productivity. So its numbers are a little bit lower. So it depends on who you look at. It depends on how you count this. And it's difficult to count this because stress is one of those things that everybody has. There was a study done that said 77% of us have enough stress in our lives to physically affect our health. That's not good. 33% of us feel like we're overstressed. So there's a big mismatch between how much stress we actually have and how much we perceive. Meditation is one of the best tools out there as far as allaying your stress. And there's a lot of people that just don't understand how to relieve stress. They think that, eating junk food and watching TV and drinking and different things like that are stress relief. And they're not. Over time, they actually increase your stress. Things like exercise and getting proper sleep and meditation and journaling and things like that actually build your resources to be able to better handle the stresses next time are going to be better. So this book gives you some of those cues on how to meditate. It also gives you cues on how to visualize. There's a lot of research out there that shows when we visualize an outcome, if we know what we want and we actually visualize doing it, we see a lot of the same firing in the brain that we see when we are actually doing it. So, for example, one of the famous studies out there is people played piano or they visualized themselves playing piano. Those that visualized themselves playing piano made almost as much progress as those who practiced the piano. So visualization is a very powerful thing. It's something that's used by all sorts of Olympians and professional athletes and actors and everybody else that is out there and famous, visualization is a very, very strong subject. And if we know where we want to go and we can visualize that, whether that's health or success or whatever it is, it's going to help you out. So again, there are a lot of phenomenal books out there on healthcare. We could have thrown a ton of them on this list, but I wanted to give you the simplest, the less convoluted information that I could give you. And that's what I think these 4 books provide. They give us a very, very good overview of what health is overall and how to simply get there. So I hope you liked it. If you do, like it, subscribe. Let me know that you like this information. If I know that you like it, I can create more information like this. Other thing is, if you want to take a hemispheric checklist and kind of figure out what kind of brain patterns you have, it's over there in the bio. Just click on the link. It is 100% completely free, and it will give you some phenomenal information about what to expect from yourself. So stay tuned. Another video like this will pop up, and like I said, hit that like button.